Hello, everybody, and welcome to the newest episode of Stark Flavor Stories. And today we have a guest that does not need any introduction, but I'm going to introduce him anyway because it is the polite, hostly thing to do. So I am with Canton City police officer, president of the Be a Better Me Foundation, author, real life Superman, former Division I football player, former high school coach. I'm going to be here for half an hour. Your LinkedIn. So we are joined today by I call him real life Superman because he really is, and that is my good friend Officer.
Yeah.
How are you doing, my friend?
Good, Mike. How you doing? Good to see you again.
Good to see you as well. We were in like a general meeting together at the Stillhouse this week, and
Right.
realized how long we'd actually known each other, which we're not going to talk about because it ages us.
And, right, exactly.
And it's been quite a while, and so
we were young.
yeah. We used to talk about video games and football all the time.
That's right.
Now here we are drowning in commitments. So
it's right. We're adults.
But it's been awesome watching you form everything that you've done over the past few years, and just been super awesome. And I thought as we were putting this idea together for these Stark Flavor Stories, you were one of the first people, I should say, that came to mind. And I know you're super busy, so I definitely appreciate you taking time out of your day, week, month, and year to hang out with us for a few minutes. So if people are not aware of you, if they're living under a rock, tell people a little bit about who you are, what your background is, and where life's taken you over the last few years.
Yeah, so I was born and raised Akron, Ohio. I became a police officer in the year 2001 is when I became a police officer. Prior to that, I used to work at a juvenile correctional facility and working with our youth and just trying to motivate them and trying to, they're getting locked up, they're coming in, and you're just trying to give them that little reassurance, like, hey, you can do it. You just got to maybe change your environment, push on, go to school, do all those good things. So mentoring kind of started way before, I got onto the police department. But, just, coming from Akron, I've pretty much, my just life experiences were just, were different. And, I think that leads me to why I do what I do today. And seeing with, a lot of the way the police what things were happening with the police departments when I was growing up, I was like, I think if I take this job and become a police officer, maybe I can kind of maybe help change that. And I wasn't really sure on how I was really going to do that. But, I guess you just kind of step out on faith and then you get led to where you're supposed to be. And that's kind of what happened with me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about the Be a Better Me Foundation that you founded a couple of years ago now.
Yes, 2016.
Okay, I thought it's been like 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, 2016.
Time flies, but
yeah,
tell a little bit about your foundation and kind of what you do to help kind of bridge that gap in our community.
So basically, Be a Better Me is a community-based nonprofit organization where we try to work and help all of our youth in Stark County. And it's not just Stark County, any kid that can make it to our facility or our programs, we try to help. We provide services as far as mentoring, tutoring. We give away book bags and supplies. We try to also help families as well that are in need. So it's just basically one of those things that, with our community, we have an amazing community. And a lot of times when people they have things or they want to donate or they want, they feel moved to want to help our youth, which is very, very important these days. It's really our community that keeps us alive and keeps us to be able to allow us to do what we do. Because, people are bringing in clothes or they're bringing in snacks because I give away a lot of snacks out of my cruiser. And, we give kids a lot of snacks for our different programs that they come through, whether it's providing plates or utensils for, our mentoring sessions or anything like that when our kids eat. I mean, it's our community that does that. So, we're just basically advocates for our youth, and we're trying to help push our youth and make them successful in whatever it is that they decide to do in life.
Yeah. And your foundation has really gone national over the past
Yeah,
years. Like it's caught fire. You've been on some
yeah,
different highlight on some different national news things and
right.
local news things, but it was the show with the
Mike
dirty
Rowe.
micro. I
Mike
was drawing
Rowe.
the
Yeah,
blank there. I
yeah,
forgot to ask you that in
yeah.
our pre-conversation. That really just seems like it exploded. So if
Yeah.
people didn't have a chance to see that, tell them a little bit about how that went down and it kind of caught you off guard and surprised you.
Yeah.
But tell them a little bit about that story, about what that was like for you.
So they basically contacted me and said that they want to do a story, they want to add me to a documentary about people who are doing things in the community. And I was like, okay, no problem. And it was just real weird because as believe it or not, I'm a very private person.
Right?
And so when they're coming in and they say they want to do this, I'm like, well, who are you? So they gave me a fake name and gave me fake everything. And I'm trying to Google them and I know nothing about them. So I'm kind of leery. And I remember when I met the producers, I was like, you know what? Let me just take
It
some,
doesn't seem sketchy at all.
yeah, yeah,
I'm
let
not a
me, I'm about
detective,
to,
but
yeah,
I'm
I'm like,
some Law and Order. Okay, I know.
right. So I had to ride around the block and try to check them out and see, who they were, like if they looked sketchy or not, making sure they weren't trying to set me up for something. But long story short, Mike Rowe came in and I knew I recognized him, but I couldn't remember from where. And I was like, I couldn't remember from where, but I was like, he just looked like a TV guy. And,
Yeah.
but ultimately what they did was they just basically came in and they gave us a building for 2 years. They kind of housed us. And that's the thing is social media can be good, very, very good, and it can be very, very bad.
Right.
And I think a lot of things I was just on this mission to show people, hey, listen, we can be the change. We just got to start doing kind acts. And that's all I do is post kind
Right.
and positive things on my social media. And eventually somebody saw that, and it ended up us getting a building and they kind of catapulted us to a whole new level across
Right.
the nation.
It was an incredible episode. I
It
remember
was.
watching it for the first time, and
Yeah.
we have so many mutual friends that was kind of on the show. It was just so
Yeah.
exciting for everybody.
Yeah.
'Cause I know the work that you guys have put in
Hmm.
to this foundation over the years, and because
Yeah.
when you started this foundation, there was no blueprint, right? Like there was
Yeah.
no, oh, this is like a nationwide thing that we're just going to
Right.
follow this. You guys were a lot like I don't
Oh
want to say in
yeah.
a negative way, but you're kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what stuck for the first
Right.
couple of years.
Exactly.
Saying, okay, I've seen some people kind of doing this, and let's do our own version. But it seems like the last few years, you guys have really narrowed in on the mentorship and educational piece. The goal of your foundation is to really, your vice president is a good friend of mine, Jimmy Fye, and
Hmm.
I was with him somewhere. I don't know if he was doing a speaking thing or if it was just a friendly thing, but he talked about the importance of your foundation's really not solving a lot of problems right now, but it's to better the future of our
Right.
community and better these kids' lives so they don't end up in gangs and on the streets and in
Right.
violent acts. And I think that's the incredible part about it because that payoff's going to come in a few years.
Hmm.
But that piece of that mentorship and that tutoring program, tell people a little bit about what that is and how you're laying those bricks now, that foundation now for a better community for us in the future.
Well, yeah, and shout out to I love my board members, and we've changed over the years, but ultimately everything that I've asked of them and their passion is
Yeah.
amazing. They are what helps make this foundation keep moving. So shout out to them. I know they're going to be watching. And I always tell people like I'm not Be a Better Me. I said Be a Better Me consists of the people behind it that make it go.
Right.
And that's definitely my board members and the people who volunteer and help us and keep us pushing forward. But our mentoring program has really taken off. We started off with a vision, and again, it's just kind of like you said, throw the spaghetti on the wall, see what sticks, and
Yep.
and now we're just kind of evolving and growing because now we went from I think we had 8 to 10 year olds on just boys, or 10 to 16-year-old boys on one night, and then we ended up adding girls, 10 to 16 girls, and now we're at a place later, all these years later, now we've added 8 to 10-year-old groups. So, and then we've worked with child and adolescents, and we have so many different things, so it's going to continue to grow and evolve. And it's just a matter of the creativity with our people, our board members, and everything. So, and then with our tutoring basically consists of kids in high school who have at least a 3.5 GPA, 3.0, 3.5 GPA or higher. And we actually pay them. We pay our tutors to come in and actually, help tutor kids that are in need. And then but the bigger picture is we're hooking kids up that we may have never met in any other type of
Yep.
circumstance. So, you may have a kid that may be coming from, maybe North Canton, that may be tutoring a kid from the city of Canton, the inner city of Canton. And what's amazing is you're starting to see these bonds with the tutors, and the students, and you're seeing it's amazing. You get some kids who want to go. We have athletes who come in and tutor, and you have kids who want to go to their sporting events because they developed a bond with these, with their tutors.
And
So it's
they would not have gotten in their
yeah,
current
yeah,
life. I mean, that's just the reality of the situation.
exactly. So it's also too just about we're helping kids, but we're also opening the doors, and we're meeting new people,
Yeah.
building better relationships.
So in a lot of these stories, we've kind of gotten into how the past year
Mhm.
has affected organizations and brands and restaurants and all those things because things shut down with a quickness, like things
Right,
went in one direction and then a week later life was completely different. What
right.
we don't really need to go into the pandemic and all that stuff, but how did that time last March and that week to two, how did that affect your foundation? And did you have to make any pivots, from a tutoring standpoint or a mentorship program or a financial standpoint? Like, how did that affect you guys?
Well, it affected us in a few different ways. One, being, when you have to close a program, you have to close it. Ultimately, the safety, kids' safety is the first and foremost. So we want to make sure that they're going to be safe. So we literally had to, like right in the middle of a mentoring program, we had to shut it down, and a tutoring. We had to shut everything down. And also, too, right before the pandemic hit, we were supposed to have a fundraiser. So it kind of affects you financially as well, which everything kind of shut down. So we kind of
Mhm.
were able to, slow down on a little of our funds, outside of our things that are just constantly rotate that we have to keep going. But it just kind of, it just kind of rolled over to the next following year where we weren't able to have another fundraiser. But then now the world starts kind of opening back up a little bit. So now our services, we're starting to pick up. And when we opened up, we went from having maybe 20 something kids in our program to we went down to 10, so we went down to 10, and then we kind of went up to 15. So, you know, we had to turn some kids away,
Mhm.
which really stinks. But we were still able to provide a service. So hopefully, with everything starting to improve and get better, we'll be able to open it back up and maybe have 20 more plus kids in our program and still be safe doing it. So
So this is a touchy subject. You and I had quite a conversation beforehand about how to approach this, but
right,
you had a very crazy 2020 because
right,
outside of the virus going on, there was another pretty major
mhm,
um, event that happened nationwide in regards to policing and the current state of that. And we had a long conversation about how to approach this because this is not meant to be a political show or things. And, we don't
right,
want keyboard ninjas sliding in our DMs and our comments about this.
right,
So, but I think we need to touch on it,
right,
because I think these stories are important. But where we kind of decided to shift our focus was to the importance of that community policing,
mhm,
because you have been talking about this to me and to others for years, way
mhm,
before the past couple of years of incidents that have happened. Can you dive into a little bit about community policing and what your experience has been and why that is so important, not just in our communities, but everywhere with the current state of things going?
right. Um, Basically, growing up, I wanted community policing, but I never knew it. I just never really knew that. But I think when I always reflect on it, I look back and be like, yo, I just wanted one of those police officers that was patrolling my neighborhood all the time to maybe stop and just talk to me, interact with me. And, so community policing is huge. Again, I know, like I said, we went going even way back with our relationship, talking about that.
Yeah.
Before any of this ever really, really, really surfaced.
On any radar, you were talking
exactly
about this.
Yeah, exactly. But also too, I knew, as growing up in East Akron, I knew some of the issues when it comes to police especially a lot in the Black community. So I recognized this a long time ago.
Yeah.
So here today, it's like you're trying to really push the community policing, because if there's issues with people in the community, if they truly know the police officer that they're interacting with, and vice versa, a lot of the issues and problems do not exist.
Right.
Because there's a respect level. There's people who respect me because in one way, shape, or form, I've either helped them or I've helped somebody that they know.
Yeah.
And now it's kind of like that respect thing is there, because I always give respect. But I think too, sometimes when people see our uniform, regardless of who's in it, they don't want to show the respect.
Right.
And that's a whole nother problem. But
we're not going to dive into that.
Yeah, we're not going to dive into that one. We're not going to dive into that one. But
another platform.
Right. But again, like, I think people knowing who their police officers are in their community is huge. It's really huge, and I really feel like it could curb a lot of the things. So when I started Be a Better Me, I wanted to see more police officers being involved in this foundation and pushing in the communities and just doing a lot of different things. And now it's to a point where ever since we were on Mike Road, I've had police officers around the country say, hey, how do we get your program here? Right. So that's part of what we're like, the process now is getting this Be a Better Me run by different police officers, not having my face on it, but the face of the officer in that community, and then all the other officers there in that community. Right. And they are Be a Better Me, and they are providing the service that we're providing here.
And I think that's amazing because, change is always hard. It doesn't matter. You can look back at the history of the world and the history of mankind. Right. And when major change shifts have always happened, it's always been met with resistance, and it's always been met with hard feelings, I guess. And that applies to a wealth of different things. And we're going through that now, but it does seem like there's always, at the end of that change, you look back and go, wow, I can't believe people didn't just line up for this, or whatever it may be. But that's what it was going to be. But there has to be a change that comes out of this. And it's not bad, some of the conversations that are going, because sometimes it's those hard conversations that lead to that great change. But you have been on the forefront of this change for a long time. And you were kind of one of the leading people. It's kind of interesting to see it happening here in Canton, Ohio, but like you talked about, the national news coverage and people donating from all over the United States to Canton to your mission, because they see, okay, this change is starting to happen, and this is somebody taking that lead, and I want to support that. And I think one of my favorite visuals whenever anybody does a story on you is kids, because we talked about you're really building that foundation now for the future, but kids just run up to you in the streets and in schools. And that's why I joke that you're like the real life Superman, mainly because you're 6'13" and 200 pounds. Look like a Superman, but you're one of the only people that make me look small when I stand next to you. But they view you as that, and it's amazing. I remember I kind of snuck in, I think 2019, my friend's daughter won one of your character awards that was at TD's, and I kind of snuck in breakfast, ate on your dime, which was wonderful. But it was like all of you, and still a year and a half later talks about you all the time. How exciting it was to meet you. And that's that change, right? You're getting to these kids at such a young age, are seeing things on television and are hearing people talk and starting to form those opinions when maybe they're not old enough to really know the facts behind it. You're kind of a real life positive influence to them to say, okay, maybe it is okay to trust this guy, and maybe it is okay to talk to him. And
And
take Andy out of his car, as weird as that sounds, but you're a cop. I
right.
think we can trust
Yeah.
you. But
Yeah.
you know,
It's just the thing is you never know who you're going to influence. I know there's about four, maybe five, I can't think, four young men that I have been around, and I've coached and I've been around that are now police officers because they were
yeah,
influenced or inspired possibly by me, and to go out here and do this job as well. And then to watch them now, they're amazing. These young men are amazing. And that's the thing right there. I've had some people who I had at Faircrest that didn't live the best positive life. And now their kids interact with me.
right.
And to see that, and that just to see that they may not have, some people were a little indifferent, but to see their kids interact with me and love me.
Yeah,
And it's just kind of like, some of them were kids like that, or adults that didn't like the police,
yeah.
but now they're just kind of like, you know what, Sharp, you know what, man,
It
you
brings
good
things
people.
full circle.
Yeah, you good people.
And
I love what you do. I believe in you.
yeah,
Keep it going. I get so much of that. Hey, keep pushing, keep going. But there's been times where you just feel like, there's times, and we're human. You feel like, is this making any difference?
yeah,
Is this going to make any change? And there's times where I just, you get so beside yourself, you find your head in your hands and you're thinking like you're tired and you're just like, whatever it is. And it's just kind of like, you know what? And you get a kid that come over and tell you they love you and thank you or something like that. And hey, they're so excited to tell you, hey, I made student of the month. And you're like, you know what? Let's go. Because that kid just like maybe a few months ago was about to get expelled from school.
right.
But you've been talking to
Change
him
is
and kind of,
happening. It
yeah.
takes a
So,
while, but it's
yeah,
those little bits of positivity that keep you going through those
yeah,
self-doubt moments
that's right.
that you're
That's
having.
right.
And I'll be one of those people that always tells you keep going because
Yeah,
I see
absolutely.
the change. And, Jimmy talks all the time about how you mentioned you're bored and how you can't do it yourself. And Jimmy is always talks about he's happy to be the workforce because he knows you have to be the face of it. But
Yeah.
you guys have
Everybody,
really worked out
I,
a well
I,
oiled
I,
machine.
I
Every
know.
Batman needs a Robin like Jimmy.
I tell him, I said, everybody needs a Jimmy.
I don't know how he looks in tights, but that's another conversation for another platform.
a whole nother
Jimmy
conversation.
is the ultimate. I hope he watches this because we snuck
I,
in on you, Jimmy.
yeah, yeah. Well, we have to get him something just to
Yeah, I could
see.
get him some green tights and maybe put that out there next fundraising event. So Jimmy just quit the board. So there is a vice president be a better me job coming
Right.
in this area if you're interested. But
Right.
going back to that Mike Rowe show and something you touched on was, I think it was that show that it was highlighted on it. And I'm going to try to find that because if you haven't seen the Mike Rowe show, I'm sure it's still on YouTube. I'll put it down in the description of the comments because people that haven't seen that, you need to see that because it's such an awesome show. But when you talked about the importance of people who maybe didn't get along with you becoming police officers, there was somebody I think that was highlighted in that show. And I'm sorry, this just popped up as we were talking, so I didn't really do the research, but they were interviewing him on like a basketball court. And he was talking about how he was going through, he knew you from back when, and now he was going through at that time, either police training or got a job as a security guard or something. Do you remember that? Can you touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. Officer Wells, he's a police officer. I forget where he's at now, but he is a police officer. He's been a police officer now for maybe 4 years, 3 or 4 years now. So yeah,
that's that change, man. It's
like
that is somebody that was going on one certain path, and now that path has been shifted because a lot of times, especially with these youth, they just don't have that mentor to buy them, and they're so desperately looking for it, and they find it in the wrong places, and they find people who oftentimes are utilizing that trust for negativity and a personal gain, and like you, that is a positive influence. It's so needed, and it's just the beginning. I know there's going to be a day where there's be a better me's all over some form of it, whatever that name is, all over the United States, and you've been kind of the catalyst of that. So kudos to you, my friend. And
Yeah.
it's been an honor to watch you,
Uh,
friend, grow over the years. And
Thank you.
I talk to you all the time about your public
So
speaking.
listen, you too. Yes,
You
you
looked
too.
horrified the first time I saw you public speaking. You just get up there and knock it out of the park. No
Oh yeah.
preparation, and like
It's,
you're just
yeah.
finding your way, right?
Yeah. Listen, I
Uh,
was that. I always tell people I was that. I tell my mentoring boys, I was like, I was that kid. If you put me up in front of the room, I was up there trembling. Like
Me too.
you could hear my paper over my voice, and
Me
like
too.
now I found myself, I did an event at Kalahari. I spoke at Kalahari Resort, and there was over 4,000 people there. And I remember I got up there, and I'm talking about the end, everybody stood up and was just like, they were on their feet. And I was just like, and I was looking, I was like, did I do that? I was like, Steve Urkel, did I do that? Like, I didn't know. Like, it was amazing, but I've come a long way.
You're going to keep moving, my friend. So,
Yeah.
speaking of the future, what's next for both you personally, and what's next for your foundation?
So right now, we're looking to see Be a Better Me out in Massillon. There's going to be a Massillon edition. They have some nice, amazing young officers out there that are very positive, and they have an influence in the community with the youth. So I'm looking forward to working with them and starting that out there. But me personally, sometimes I have to get some things off my plate.
Yeah.
Because I get stretched pretty thin, and
Mhm.
there was a time where anybody could call me and I would be there, but now I have to kind of be a little bit more. I have to be a little wiser now
Yeah.
because
Right.
I got sick at one point in time working so much, and a lot of people don't know that, but I really got sick, and
Mhm.
so I had to really kind of focus on me and kind of keep me, because if I don't take care of me, then there's
Exactly.
nothing else. So I've learned to I have to kind of trim down, and then I've learned to delegate authority, which Jimmy Pye always gets on me. He was like, and he's very great. He was like, "What do you need me to do?" And the board members, "What do you need me to do?" So that
Lights are
really,
always in the closet, ready to go.
yeah, yep, that's it. So that's helped out a lot. But I'm writing books. I'm actually writing a book now that I'm working on. That's going to be pretty powerful. It's going to be really, really powerful. And because one of the things about it's hard being a police officer,
Mhm.
but it's a whole nother level to it also being a Black police officer.
Right.
So this is some different things that talking about that and just a different perspective. It's going to be a couple years probably before that comes out, but it's going to be very exciting.
That's awesome. Well, you're the jack of all trades, as I mentioned
Yeah.
at the beginning. So, for people that may see this, that
Mhm.
want to get involved with Be a Better Me or learn more about your organization, volunteer, donate, what's the best way to find more information about you? And what's the best way to reach out to your organization?
Yeah, so as far as the organization, we are on Facebook and Instagram. You can also reach us at www.beabetterme.org. We also have our general email is info@beabetterme.org if you want to send us an email. Of course, you can follow me. I have, I guess, all the social media platforms, I believe. Yeah, Twitter, TikTok.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to learn what I'm doing on
Oh,
TikTok.
I've seen the Lamar Sharpe TikTok campaign. So if you are not following Officer, you need to tune in. That'll change your life.
Sometimes the kids influence me. It's a two-way street.
Right.
So, but yeah, and then also too, I do have my own personal website, lamarsharpe.com. You can stay up to date. A lot of times people try to book me for things, and I know they try to reach out to me via social media, and I'll be like, listen, I I I don't even get in my DMs because they're so, I get about probably like 20 a day, and it's really hard to even keep up. So I'm saying, as far as that, I have somebody that takes care of all of that. Shout out to my secretary, Mary Lou. She's kind
She's
of
a
like
wonderful lady.
she's an
Met Mary Lou
amazing
a few
woman.
times. She is a
Yeah.
great
Listen,
asset to you.
yeah, listen, she is like my other mom here. So she takes care of me. So if anything, anybody wants to say anything bad about me or harm me, she's gonna be standing on your doorstep.
You don't want that. She's a tough little lady. Let me.
Right, right. So yeah, that's pretty much it. A lot of times if you just reach through our emails and through our different platforms to get a hold of me, and or just stop into our office.
Where's your office located? Let them
So we're
the address because you moved recently in the past year.
yeah,
So
yeah,
where's that
yeah.
office at if they want to do that?
So yeah, unfortunately, we had to relocate. So we're at the Amateur Sports Hall of Fame building, which is 1414 Market Avenue North. I know a lot of times people, if you want to stop in, say hi, you meet Mary Lou, and you just be willing to give the shirt off your back and give
You
anything.
forget about Lamar really quickly when you.
Yeah, you forget all about me. Like, who's I here to see? So, yeah, and you can just stop in. Like, we're usually open Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10 to 2.
Perfect. Well,
Mhm.
Lamar, thank you so much for joining.
Hey,
I know you're a crazy busy guy, and we tried for like 2 weeks to work around our schedules to get this done.
yeah,
So
uh,
I'm glad we finally did it. Saw you twice this week, which is
I
awesome.
know that's
And,
awesome.
anything else you want to throw out there? Anything else you want to add before we wrap it
No,
up?
no, just I just tell people, I always like to share, just be an inspiration. No matter what it is you do, what occupation you have, it doesn't take much. You can change somebody's day completely by just being kind, and stop the whole social media bullying thing. And we do have a right to free speech, but sometimes it's better to not say anything if you're not going to say anything nice at all.
Right. It's one thing to call out. Listen, there's nothing wrong with calling out
Yeah,
what you think needs change. It's another thing to actually do something to try to change it. And
exactly.
it's on all of us to make that
Yeah,
change, like you said. And it sucks and it's hard sometimes. I get it, but
right.
don't talk about it, be about it, right? Is that a
That's
good
right. That's right.
is that a
That's
good
it.
way to say it?
That's
Like,
that's my mom's old saying. She's like, don't talk about it, bitch. She always used to tell me that. Don't
also
talk
met
about it,
Lamar's
girl.
mom, another little lady you let
Right.
me tell you that much. It's
Yeah.
you've got some strong ladies in your life, so it's
I do. I
no
do. I
surprise
do.
to me the success that you've had because
Yeah.
there's some good personalities backing you, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. So, well,
That's right.
Lamar, thank you so much, and
Thank you.
thanks for everybody for tuning in. And please, if you're interested in working with Lamar, supporting Lamar, reach out to their organization because it's a great thing that they have going that's really going to benefit our community for years to come. So Lamar, thank you. And everybody, thanks for tuning in. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Stark Flavor Stories. Thanks, Lamar.
All right. Thank you.